we we have about 15 more minutes, all right, for discussing. So I was saying that teachers play an important role in motivation, and also they help in order to create a safe atmosphere, like an atmosphere that is acceptable, that is acceptable in order to make your students feel that they can make mistakes, because making mistakes is not something negative, okay? Making mistakes, it's part of the learning process, like, no, if when you're not just correcting your students, when you're just sharing them, okay, when you're sharing them your knowledge, and when you let them know how important they are in the learning process, then learning takes part of the process, and then you make them also, you make them part of the process, so they get involved and they motivate themselves in the learning process. Now here we have inhibition and risk taking. So I'm gonna ask, okay, I'm gonna ask Oscar Cortez, would you mind helping me with the reading, please?
Sure, I will. Okay. Inhibition and risk taking. The concept of inhibition, I think that's the pronunciation, it's closely related to the notion of self-esteem. All complete protect their ego by building sets of defenses. The higher self-esteem, the lower walls of inhibition, and greater success in learning a foreign language. It has been suggested that inhibition influences language learning in a negative way because it discourages the risk taken, which is an essential element in this process. It is necessary to make mistakes if a person wants to learn a foreign language. This is mainly a problem of adults who are more self-conscious than children are. A child adopts a new language and accent more rapidly than an older person who is less open to influences and changes. The next thing that language learners have to face is the loss of status. An individual who is, I don't know if you can scroll down a little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah, no problem.
I was reading status. An individual who is de- detached, self-critical, and has a sense of humor can cope with this demand of language learning better than a rigid or status conscious individual who lacks self-awareness or humor. Stern, 1983, 382. Anxiety is another important aspect of learning of personality, that affects learning a foreign language.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, guys, I would like to know if you know the meaning of inhibition. Do you know the meaning of that? No? To well, somebody? Inhibition, what is it?
No, teacher.
No. Okay. Well, inhibition, it is a personal feeling of fear or embarrassment that stops one behaving naturally. Inhibition is basically like staying there in your comfort zone, okay, and not participating. That's inhibition, okay? Now, risk taking, in the other hand, it's something that basically take you to another level, even though probably that some words or some phrases in English are not pronounced correctly, I mean, you take the risk of reading them, okay? So this is important because like when you take the risk of saying them or practicing them, then even though like they're not correct, you take the risk of learning it because you don't think about, well, what do they gonna think, so making mistakes in the learning process is part of their self-esteem, because when you think about that in a positive way, then you realize that the important part is practicing, okay, not just saying the words correctly, okay. So that is the whole thing about this piece of text, okay. The one important element is to understand that making mistakes is necessary, okay? It is necessary to acquire and learn new things, okay? That's necessary. So never feel afraid of making mistakes, okay? That's part of the process. Now, when learning a second language, you should not be afraid of making mistakes, okay? Every time that you think about how to pronunciate a word, how to say something, then, I mean, just say it. You know what I mean? Don't be afraid, because when you're afraid, then when you're not participating, because you're afraid. So just say the things, pronounce the words, even though they're not correct. Now, there's gonna be a moment in which you're gonna read or listen the word that you didn't know, and then you're gonna learn it. You know what I mean? But the first step is not being afraid. Okay. So another thing is that putting yourself in other one's shoes, that will help you to understand the process. Example, when you're teaching, I know that all the students learn in different speeds. So taking that into account, it reminds me that not all my students will learn at the same speed, and not all my students will also understand the topic that I'm explaining. You know what I mean? So empathy plays also an important role of your teaching style. You know what I mean? When you're teaching, this should be one of the first things that you have to think of, okay? Because empathy is one of the things that you have to take into account, especially when you're teaching basic levels, Now, in conclusion, it has been said that individuals' differences are important factors in second language acquisition, right? But they influence the way learners encounter language learning. But one important thing that I want to mention before reading this thing is that you, as a teacher, play an important role. Why? The first time that you talk to your student, make sure you tell them that in your classroom, in your class, they are free, okay? Make them think that they are in a safe atmosphere, and make them think that failure or mistakes are allowed. You know what I'm saying? So they don't feel judged. You know what I mean? They don't feel judged. And then you make them feel comfortable in your class. And then you will have a class in which they will participate and they won't feel offended when they learn new words, when you correct them and all that. Remember that this is a process, okay? But it is important the relationship that you have with your students, okay? So make them feel that all those frustrations and all those things that they bring from their previous teachers in at school, I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, errors are acceptable, you know what I mean? As long as they correct themselves, or as long as they accept, you know, that they can be corrected, you know what I mean? So that's something important when it comes to the learning process, okay? So I don't know if you have any question before leaving. Any question about the homework or something? Here I have some extra resources if you want to check. For this week, what you're going to do is to create a video of at least 3 to 5 minutes, all right? Explaining the factors that affect learning, you know, the learning process in a reality, of course. Maybe here you can take advantage of how you learned and how were you affected, you know? So you can take advantage of that. Now, I don't know if you have any question about this.
Mixer, now that you mentioned this point of the homework, I do have a question.
Okay.
So in the video that we're going to record, it is mandatory that we have to be in the video, or can we instead just make a presentation and record the screen with our voice?
Okay. Many of you have asked the same question. I mean, you have to appear in the video at least for the introduction, okay? After that, if you want to present something, images or a presentation, you can do it. But it is mandatory for you to appear at the beginning, okay? So I can identify who is speaking, because remember that I don't know you guys. I mean, I don't know everybody, you know? So I don't know if it is actually you talking, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So,
Okay.
yeah, it is mandatory for you to appear at least for the introduction. So, yeah. Is there any other question? Is there any other question, guys, before leaving? We have 2 more minutes.
I think that everything is clear, teacher.
Okay, so if you have any question about the homework or about the topic, you let me know, okay? You can use the WhatsApp chat, or you can use the forum in Canvas, okay? So let me know if you have any question. This class is being recorded, so you can let your classmate know that I will upload the videos, okay, in the Canvas platform. Okay, I will upload the links, okay, so they can check it out later. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So
Thank
if
you.
they're not questions, I hope you have a wonderful night, and I hope you guys get a good score. Next week, guys, we're having our first midterm, okay? We're not having content on Canvas. We're just having one exam that is going to be available from, let me see, September. Let me check the calendar. Just give me a second. Okay, it's gonna be available from August 31st until September 6th. Okay, that's gonna be your midterm, your first midterm. Okay, so you won't have content. You won't have content in Canvas. You're just gonna have the test. Okay. Now I would like to know, how much time do you consider necessary for the test, for taking the test?
How many questions are you going to include?
Well, let me explain that. I usually like to present questions for completing, you know what I'm saying? Like for giving your point of view. I don't usually assign questions like textual questions, you know. I usually like to give students questions to think, to produce. So take that into account.
Okay.
So we will have just one opportunity to do the midterm, or you will allow us another opportunity?
Well, I don't know. I'm thinking about it. um,
Okay.
yeah, I don't know. Like, since I'm telling you that I'm assigning you an exam in which you have to like basically complete your answer, not just selecting an answer. It means that you have to write and think. That's why I'm asking you guys if you how much time you think it's reasonable
Okay,
for
1 hour would be enough then.
1 hour 60 minutes.
I think so. I don't know.
All right, well, let's do something. I'm gonna give you 1 hour and 40 minutes, okay, which is one block of classes.
Awesome.
All right, so
Yeah, that's better.
I'm saying this because of the students that are really good at, and those students that takes more time for answering the test. So, so I can be fair. So I'm gonna give you like 1 hour and 40 minutes, okay, for answering the test.
Okay, teacher.
All right, but you're gonna have only one chance.
Yeah, yeah, it's perfect.
All right.
It's
So,
okay.
all right, good. So you let your classmates know about that, all right? You let them know like the time, because right now I just have like 8 students. Well, 7 actually. So you let them know how much time we're gonna spend, and that's it, right?
Okay, thank you, teacher.
Okay,
All right.
thank
So
you,
Thank
teacher.
you so much.
Night.
Have a good
all right.
night.
Good night. Good night.